Welcome to The Scientists. Woo! I'm Madeline Freed.
I'm Blythe Robertson.
And this is a show about science where we invite comedians on and then we explain a science topic to you. And this month's theme is garbage.
Woo!
Ha 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 ha.
So, Madeline, why are we qualified to talk about garbage?
Really excellent question. I wrote my University of Chicago anthropology thesis about the culture of garbage, and that is true. And I know lots of facts about it, and I wrote all of this presentation by memory because I always think about it.
I one time was walking with a friend on my way to a mailbox, and I saw a garbage can across the street, and I crossed the street, and I put it in the garbage can, and I said, "Look, it's the crying of Lot 49." And that's
You're
all
very
I know.
qualified.
Yeah.
Very qualified.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let me set up the presentation.
By the way, this is completely off topic, but is anyone here striking tomorrow for the Women's March? Yes. Hell yeah. Let's talk after the show. My boss came in and tried to shame me not to do it today, but thank you.
Still, we persist.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to work. Okay. So, last... here we go. Here we go. Garbage. So, the science is a little bit tricky here. This time, we're anthropologists, and anthropology is not technically a science anymore, but whatever. It's a social science.
Yeah, close enough.
What is garbage?
So this is garbage. All men are garbage.
Yeah, all shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
So very simply, garbage, if I were to ask, I'm assuming if I were to ask an audience member what garbage is, you'd say things like it's gross, it's something that excess, you want to get rid of it, nasty.
Yeah, just useless.
Useless, yeah.
Yeah.
Something that's useless or gross.
Pretty much anything that you throw away, that's garbage.
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. All right. Oh, by the way, just at the top of the show, we're not going to cite sources for every single thing because Madeline did this from memory. But here's general sources that we are pulling from. All right. The first one is
that little picture.
Yeah. We looked at that, we meditated, we did this entire PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's this woman named Robin Nagel at NYU. She is, I think, the official anthropologist for NYU's or for NYC's sanitation people.
Yeah, she's very dope. She has a tattoo and everything.
Yeah. So we read stuff on her syllabus as if we were in college.
We followed it very, very specifically. We're very good students.
Yeah.
We're A students. Look, we printed our notes on these note cards. Damn it.
A lot of stuff comes from the book Garbage Land, and we're interviewing the author, Elizabeth Royte, at the end of the show.
Yeah, she's for real here right now. And, sitting around thinking with our own damn brains. That's another source. So the problem with what we call garbage is that actually you're wrong. Garbage is not actually something that's useless or gross.
Yeah, it's not objectively, some of it's not if you saw it, a lot of it has to do with location. So, for example, here are some shitty leaks. I didn't take this picture myself, but you can imagine that I bought them at Seatown, where it's very bad produce. So, I mean, if I have them on the table, they could just be suspect leeks that I'm gonna put in a soup and eat. And I'm well, they got warm, so it's fine. Scallions, green onions. I think leeks are actually really big onions. So I fucked this whole thing up.
Yeah, you can't know what a leek is. We don't know what a leek is.
Yeah, it's cultural. But so if they're on the table, they're fine. But if I put them in the garbage can, then you would be okay, those are trash green onions that I never want to see again in my life. And it really all has to do with location. And also, because I buy those at Seatown and they suck from the moment I buy them, they're produce when they're on the shelf. But, if I took them directly from the shelf and put them in the garbage can, you would be yeah, that's garbage.
It's a freaking magic trick.
Yeah.
All you have to do is put it somewhere else and suddenly it is trash.
Yeah. So another way that suddenly something that isn't trash becomes trash is you just like decide it's not useful anymore. So for example, these are some shoes that I have. I bought them when I was in 8th grade. They don't keep my feet warm. They don't keep my feet dry. There's a hole in the bottom that rocks and liquids can come through. But because I have a positive attitude and like a lovely soul, I use them as shoes still, and so they're not trash, they're shoes.
Yeah, I want to just another example. Let's say you have clothes that you wear them every day, and everyone agrees that they're clothes that you're allowed to wear. Then one day you decide that you have too much space, or you have not enough space in your closet or hanging on the floor, and you decide, I'm going to take them to Beacon's Closet. You could go to the one nearby, the worst one. And you take them there, and those glamorous villains tell you that your clothes deserve they cost no money, and you have to put them into literally a trash bag on the floor. And those clothes that previously you were wearing are now garbage. They're garbage. And no self-respecting person would go into that bag, take them out, and wear your dang clothes. So yet another way.
Yeah.
So the reason that this is important is that it's very hard to understand our culture from the inside of it. It's very easy to look at someone else's weird culture and be like, why do you use chicken entrails to predict the future? But it's very hard to tell that you're being dumb from the inside of it. And so how would an anthropologist who's coming from the United States be able to study the United States? And like me, for example, I was an anthropology major. That the way that you do that, I say, is look at the ways that we act weird around stuff at the edges of our culture. And see if you can poke at it and see how we react badly to it. And by examining that from that angle, by saying, like, what do we find gross? What do we find weird? What do we decide is not appropriate? When you poke at that stuff, that's how we'll tell, how we actually are.
Yeah. And so this kind of goes along with that, because, like, as our society has become more, like, affluent, we throw more stuff away just because, like, we have more stuff, but also, like, there's more stuff that people are producing, and you're not going to buy new stuff if you like have all this old stuff. So we need ways to like rationalize to ourselves that we're throwing stuff away. And by the way, this is going to be a very anti-capitalism show. So if you like have a large stake in capitalism, like I would leave now. If you come from the family of capitalists. So anyways, what is gross? Like, why do we say like, oh, this thing is gross, so I'm going to throw it away? Like, what is gross? All men are gross, obviously. What else is gross? This photo of Donald Trump and all of his friends, super gross. The fact that Brie Larson, who played a sexual assault survivor, had to present Casey Affleck, a man who has sexually harassed multiple women, with an Oscar, that's pretty gross. But also, it's just a cultural category. It's not a scientific category.
Right. And so we're going to get into what exactly it means to be a cultural category. And as Blythe was saying, no big frickin' surprise, we're a capitalistic society and a consumptive one. And so when we poke at trash, it's consumption that we find. So here's 2 pictures. This is people in Mongolia, and this is people in Texas, America. And it's all the stuff that's in their house. And so Blythe said she's anti-capitalist, and I'm not anti-capitalistic for this show. Afterwards, I'll be anti-capitalistic again, but this time I'm a scientist, and I'm just looking at this with a critical eye. So I'm not putting a value judgment on either of these 2 pictures. These people are not necessarily like happier and better than the people in this picture, and vice versa. It's just that these people have more stuff than these people. And as you get more stuff, as you have more stuff, you run out of room in your dang house. And you need reasons to be able to get rid of that stuff that's still useful, that still should be worth something. But we invented this idea of garbage. We consider more things gross. We consider more things unfashionable, more things useless so that we get rid of it and have more room for more stuff. We have these like conceptions of garbage that it's gross, that it's that it's not valuable anymore. But guess what? We're gonna interrogate the category. Remember college? It was really fun. And yeah, so one thing about calling garbage gross is that like you calling something that doesn't really have a moral fact. You're just like putting it into a box that's different than the box you had before, but you're giving it like an immoral kind of category, like something that is tainted, that is bad. Yeah. So we've gotten over history more hygienic as a culture,
which is good. Like a lot of stuff does make you sick, but some stuff doesn't. Like eating off of other people's plates doesn't make you sick.
It doesn't.
People think it's gross. But if you love people, you should just eat their food.
Yeah,
or even people you don't know.
Yeah, I eat food right out of my loved ones' mouths. But if I were to sit at a restaurant and look at the table over from me and she hasn't finished her kale salad and I say, I would like to eat that, please, everyone would be very upset with me.
Yeah. But that's what Madonna did when she moved to New York.
Yeah. So?
And now she's a superstar.
Yeah.
Also, like, taking a baby crib off the side of the street. Probably not that gross. When I was a kid, I found a sofa on the side of the street. I got all my friends. We pushed it a mile to my house. And my parents said, we're going to burn that. But...
Yeah, but why? Why? You could have sat on it in good health.
Yeah, it could have had lice, but a crib is made of wood, so...
And guess what else? Lice is no big deal. It is. It's no big deal. There are people in the world who just live... I've had lice 100 times. Do you know how much hair I used to have? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But some people in the world just live with lice. All the time, they just live with lice.
And
they
then
do. And
also, like...
they're fine.
They're totally fine. Also, diva cups, something making a resurgence in the feminist, like, utopia we had before Hillary lost. But, like, okay, so, like, everyone knows what a tampon is, unless you're a guy. But diva cups are, like, basically a cup that you insert into your vagina and you, like, collect menstrual stuff.
At the end of it, you have to stick your hands up your vagina, pull it out, and then you have a handful of blood. And guess what? I bet 40% of the people in this room have one in right now. Yes. And guess what? It sounds gross. But we all do it.
Yeah. And like tampons literally make you sick. Like I'm nauseous every moment a tampon is in my body. And my mom got like super sick because in the 70s they just were like, let's make tampons huge and put a shit ton of chemicals in them so you never have to take them out. And like a bunch of women died. But diva cups don't kill you. They just, like, get blood on your hands. And honestly, I'm in the kind of political mood right now where I want menstrual blood on my hands all the time.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. All this to say, like, there's lots of things I could put in front of you, make you put in your mouth that are gross, that we would all in this room call gross. But gross should be a stand-in for dangerous is going to make you sick. That's our heuristic. We're like, oh, when I feel nasty, when that's like, ugh, get that away from me, that's because we're protecting ourselves from being sick and getting ill. But as this list shows, there are lots and lots and lots of things that we call gross that are never dangerous, that are not dangerous and will not make you ill. And so, guess what? We've poked this little category, and I have a theory on why we call things gross. It's because you can take something useful and that still has value, like that girl's kale salad, and throw it in the trash and feel fine. Yeah. But I want to.
Oh, what's this slide?
Oh yeah. Okay. Here's all the things we invented to sell you more things because we invented hygienic categories to make we increase what we consider gross as we got richer. Okay, this is my favorite thing because Airborne never protected you from any germs, and they had to take this off the packaging. But they're selling you this thing. You take vitamin C or whatever. I don't know. There's some garbage in there. I don't know what's in Airborne. But it's preying on your fear of all these germs. It's making you buy something, but it doesn't actually even help that. We invented body odor. That wasn't a thing before, like 150 years ago.
I told Madeline that I feel fine about using deodorant, but I think maybe I'm just like not garbage woke enough.
Oh my God, who's garbage woker than me? Probably Elizabeth Royte, but she'll be up later. Yeah, but it's not to say that there's a theory if you go back into London like 500 years ago, you wouldn't stop vomiting until you passed out. Because it smelled so bad. These are Kleenex hand towels put in a place where we used to have reusable towels, and you'd consider this more hygienic. And here's a reusable diaper. And I spent a lot of time at work comparing reusable to cloth diapers. I don't have a child.
Okay, so there are some people who do gross things, and we feel like they're so gross that we want them to have TV shows. And one of them is Extreme Cheapskates, and I'll let you talk about it because you love them.
Oh my God, it's my favorite show of all time. I think it was only on for one season. And this is, it's a group of people who are extreme cheapskates, and then the camera goes and tries as much as possible to show you how disgusting they are. And this happens over and over and over again. They're doing some like weird cheapskate thing, and they're like, ew, and then they invite those people's friends over and have those friends get really grossed out by it too. It's so awesome. So I'm going to show you a little clip of that.
I'm cutting toilet paper squares for our bathroom that we will wash and use instead of paper products. We have a little bin underneath the basket that holds the little toilet wipes where we put them so we can wash them later. And then when it's time to wash, I just pour them in and I never have to touch them with my hands. Buying toilet paper just doesn't do anything for me. As a middle-class family that makes a good income, I shouldn't have to go into debt to buy toilet paper. All of our cloth wipes that we have in the house, we've been using them for more than 5 years. Using cloth toilet paper saves us $20 a month. Over a year, then that is $240. I had one person say she couldn't contaminate her washing machine. And I just had to laugh because if you know anything about bacteria, there's no way it can survive those harsh conditions. And so contamination's not an issue at all.
When Angela first came up with the idea of cloth toilet paper, I was kind of a little skeptical. And once I got used to it, to me it's more comforting to have something solid on your hand than the paper stuff.
This is kind of dirty.
It's okay, it's clean.
Yeah. Okay.
I love her so much. I love her so much. I love all these people so much. But we think, I could hear everybody groaning. You think she's so gross. You think she's so gross.
Yeah.
But, and other people, they like pick up roadkill off the side of the road and cook it and then have barbecues with all their friends. It's so great.
Yeah. I mean, like, the thing is, like, I am so grossed out by this and I wouldn't do it, but, like, these people clearly have been doing it for a year and they haven't died of dysentery.
Yeah, it's not dangerous because, as she said, it gets disinfected in the washing machine. And guess what else? People are... Train yourself to think, whenever you feel that gross feeling, it's because capitalism wants you to keep buying shit. Yeah. So one thing about this lady and her family, they have 6 children, and by pursuing the American dream, they got into $90,000 worth of debt, and by doing this weird shit, they got themselves out of debt in 6 months. She should be our freaking hero.
Totally. Yeah.
Damn is right. But this whole episode is not about that. It's about how they buy expired cheese and how nasty that is.
But also, like, I want to add that, like, we're not giving a lot of, like, facts and figures in the show because we didn't want to. But, like, oh, wait, go back. But, like, okay. Toilet paper, a lot of it comes from, and Elizabeth Royte writes about this a little bit in her book, like, a lot of it comes from, like, the boreal forests of Canada, which are these ancient forests, like, that are incredibly biodiverse, and, like, 60% of them were, like, allotted to be cut down. And Kimberly-Clark, which was, like, this company that makes toilet paper, before 2011, they were, like, getting a lot of their toilet paper from there, even though, like, there are all these animals that live there, like, over 1 billion types of birds live there or something. And, like, I wrote this down. 186 billion tons of carbon was, like, in this forest, in the trees and soil. So by, like, cutting that down, we're, like, releasing that into the world to be, like, greenhouse gas. So it's kind of like... I personally am not gonna like start cutting up T-shirts to like use as toilet paper, but it's like a big effect on the environment.
I am. Suck it, Mom. And that's the end of part 1. Okay, and we're going to bring up our next comedian. She is everyone's best friend. She's the queen of Brooklyn.
And she writes for a show on Nickelodeon, Nick Pre-K, I think, and it's called Blaze and the Monster Machines. It's for kids, but I think its tagline is Let's Blaze. So please give it up for Halcyon Person.
Hi, everyone. Hi. Hello. Yes, that's true. I work for a preschool television show, tagline of which is Let's Blaze. That was all true. Oh, no, it's not up anymore. Do you know how I get it back up? Oh, thank you. Yeah, so tonight we're talking about garbage. We're talking about trash. And I have to admit to you guys all tonight that I am a pack rat. I cannot throw anything away. Are there any other pack rats here tonight? Oh, okay, so you all did like the joy and magic of tidying up and like you think you're better than me now. I get it, but I am seriously like, I refuse to throw anything away, and I thought to like demonstrate that to you guys, I would kind of go through a couple things. I just went through my apartment this morning. I walked around and looked for things that were like definitely trash that I still own. So here are a couple things. I have a Tupperware lid with no bottom. I'm not gonna use that. A uniform shirt from a job that I hated and no longer work at. Why would I have that? I have a book about forging and treating steel and steel byproducts. I don't think in my preschool television career I'm ever going to use that. I have a promotional poster for the TV show Nashville, a show that I have never watched and I never plan on watching. And this is great. I took a class 10 years ago with Joyce Carol Oates, and I held on to these notes she gave me in the class, and I assumed that they were like full of wisdom and like tricks of the trade, and I just was holding on to them because I knew someday I'd like look back and be like so happy I had them. But today I did actually look back, and it's just literally her crossing out like full paragraphs of my prose and notes where she just said like, not this and no. And since this is a science show, we're here to talk about science. I thought I'd have a hard science fact for you guys. Apparently, according to the first website I Googled that had a fact that proved my point, the very act of shedding a possession triggers activity in the anterior cingulate cortex and in the insula. And those are the parts of the brains that feel physical pain. So that's physical pain. When I throw something out, I feel true pain. Like if you ask me to throw out rotting produce, that hurts. That hurts me. And I'm scared of that pain. I'll be honest. I'm scared of determining the line between when something is good and when it's trash, like Madeline and Blythe were talking about. Like, I'm not sure when something's useful to me and when it becomes a waste of space. And I have to now admit that includes boyfriends. It parallels my romantic relationships because I am a relationship pack rat for sure. I've spent years longer in relationships than I should have with men that are full-on garbage. And I thought, since I know there are some relationship pack rats out there too, you don't have to woo, you don't have to cheer, I know you're out there. I thought I would do something to help you guys learn from my mistakes. So here you go. This is When to Throw Them Away, a guide on how to not be a relationship pack rat. And just to note, I'm calling from my own romantic experiences, which is why this is all about dudes, but garbage people come in all orientations and sexes, so you probably can all relate to some of this. Okay, so let's get into our first piece of garbage. Okay, so you're gonna... It's gonna seem like a really good idea to date the lapsed Catholic because he's like complicated and passionate, and he's like always brooding. He's really good at following arbitrary rules, which like I kind of like. But you're gonna date him, and he's gonna make you stay up till 3 a.m. listening to Christian songs he's written, played on the guitar, before he'll have sex with you. And then when he does have sex with you, he's going to finish, but then not help you finish because like that's when he's suddenly like racked with guilt about his sins, like right after he comes. So that's that point, you guys. Right then, that's when you should throw them away. Okay, that's when you should throw them away. That's the expiration date. You don't be like me. Do not date him for another 3 months, hoping that he'll get over 20 years of indoctrination. He needs to marry He needs to like move back to Michigan and become like a youth pastor, and you need to like move on with your life, you know. So you gotta throw that in the trash. Next up is the slightly racist guy, and I will say that some of you may notice that's Ty Pennington from Trading Spaces, and I don't know that Ty Pennington is racist. I don't even know if he's slightly racist, but like, it wouldn't shock you if he was, though, right? You guys know what I mean, like. If you heard that he had told a racist joke on like satellite talk radio, you wouldn't be like, oh, my Ty Pennington? You'd be like, yeah, okay, that sounds right. But you're gonna date this guy, and right about the time that you hook up for the first time, he's gonna tell you afterwards how happy he is that he can cross being with a black girl off the list. And that's when you know it's time to throw him in the trash. Do not wait around. Do not wait another 2 months. And side note, I have to say the joke is on him because I'm not even really that black. It's like saying that you've been to Atlanta because you connected through the airport. It's like joke's on him. The next guy is the quote-unquote really nice guy. We all know this guy, and it's so tough because the quote-unquote really nice guy can just seem like a regular old nice guy, you know, if you're not careful. But the trick you can use is that if someone says they're a really nice guy all the time, they're probably not one. Because that usually means that they'll text you to say that you should go get the morning after pill the night after a hookup. But when you say that like you're kind of scared and nervous, you've never done that before, and ask if maybe he could go with you, he'll say like, no, actually I gotta like study for an exam, and then he won't even offer to like split it with you. So you'll go by yourself, and it kind of like sucks, and you know the next few days are like kind of physical pain, emotional pain, kind of like just is a real bummer, and he won't contact you at all, like won't be in touch with you for the entire week, but he will leave like a very nice potted plant outside of your door at the dorm, which is not for you, it's for so other people know that he's a really nice guy, and so everyone can see that, and so, you know, like as soon as that happens, you have figured it out, you gotta get rid of him. Don't date him for another, say, I don't know, 5 months before you get that trash out of there. There are not enough nice potted plants in the world. So the next guy is the guy who doesn't like music. Actual quote. So when you buy tickets to a concert for you and this guy to go to, and he tells you, I don't really like music, that's enough. You don't need to. Okay. Who doesn't like music? That's bizarre. Why are you holding on to that for another 5 months? Just move along. Next is the untalented artist, and I will say, this is. I'm not saying that The Rock is an untalented artist. I'm saying that this is untalented art of The Rock. Just wanted to make that clear. I'm a very big fan of The Rock. So this is one you guys, you really have to watch out for. This is a dangerous one because it's going to be someone who you're dating whose art you just despise. Like everything they make is terrible. And maybe, say for example, just pulling this out of the air, they're writing a staged version of the 80s movie Big Trouble in Little China, written in Shakespearean verse. And they want to perhaps read you multiple drafts. And I say that not like you read it, but like he reads it to you at dinner. So like right then, that's when you can just like chuck it, get out of there. No need for any more. That is true garbage. So next up is Steve Harvey. I've never dated Steve Harvey. I can admit that honestly, but I do think that he is trash, and I think as a nation we need to throw him away. He's the worst, and he has a best-selling book with multiple editions where he calls women's pussies cookies for pages and pages. Yeah, look it up. It's true. Science fact. So throw him in the trash. Okay, next up. The guy whose only redeeming quality is that he has a dog. This, they're just the worst. They can't string a sentence together, and they want to hang out exclusively at 3 a.m. when they're drunk, but they have a dog. I know. You still have to trash them. I get this. I had a personal experience with this, and this is probably one of the most embarrassing things I've admitted, but I never even met the dog. I would keep like suggesting dates where like a dog would naturally be that like occur, like, oh, let's go get ice cream at the park, like, oh, let's go have a picnic in the park, let's like go to a dog park and see what happens. And I never brought the dog, but I held out hope, and you do not need to. There are so many people with dogs in the world. You go get your own dog. Why not get your own dog? That's so much better than waiting on that trash. So definitely throw that away. And finally, last and least, the total asshole. I'm so sad to admit that I dated a total asshole for almost 3 years. He was awful. He was stupid. He's actually 3 other slides on this PowerPoint. And he gaslit me. He made me feel insane about feeling feelings and feeling angry. And he totally undermined my creativity and ambition for like a good chunk of my 20s. And, all these types I've mentioned, like including him, like I didn't even throw him away, right? Like he threw me away. He actually moved out of our shared apartment in the middle of the day with all his stuff. And I came home and it was like empty. And that's like another PowerPoint that I'll show you after if you want. But just like total trash, right? Start to finish. And the last year of that relationship, I was having panic attacks almost daily. My body was literally rebelling against me and the like trash I had brought into my life. It was trying to stop me from continuing to be with trash. But I was a relationship pack rat, like the pain of being with something was better than the pain of throwing it away. And that was totally wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong. I think I figured out that saying goodbye to trash is like important and necessary to grow and like get over things. My exes are like slimy compost that like I blossom from like a trash flower, And so with that in mind, I thought I'd do something tonight, very dramatic, to like kind of like rid myself, in this space with all of you people of some trash in my life to like start my stopping of my pack rat ways. So I have a trash can here. If you'll just give me a second. Yeah, I'm gonna go in it. Thank you. Good night. Here I have my Nashville poster. It's really nice though, right? You'll notice that it advertises sassy divas, family drama, tender lovin', and local flavor. And there are a couple cool things. There's a map here. It's like Deacon's house. I don't know who Deacon is, but I'm sure that's good. There's a Grand Old Opry. What do we got there? That's the new home of Nashville. All right. This is trash, right? I'm going to throw it away now. You guys with me? Fuck yeah! Ah! Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I'm probably going to pick this out later, but I appreciate all of your support. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thank you, Halcyon. Jesus Christ. Woo! Connie Britton came on our show. I like Google celebrities for a TV show for my job, and Nashville is bad, but I watched the whole first season in a week. Wow. It's so good. Every man on the show looks exactly the same. They all look like the dad on Modern Family, so it's really dramatic because it seems like everything is happening to the same man.
So I'm going to directly contradict a science fact that Halcyon said. Disregard that. She's not a scientist. So my thesis is that we love to throw things away. And in fact, one of the mechanisms by which we get rid of stuff, or we allow ourselves to get rid of stuff, is how good it feels to throw things away, and how freeing. Because guess what? We love. Not yet. That's our good friend.
You love to be like, I am no longer the person who would wear a pair of salmon-colored capri pants that are ripped up, which I was for a while, and then I gave them away, and I felt so good. And when I did that, people literally said to me, no, but these are like the you pants.
But human beings, Yeah, I loved him too. Human beings love categories. We love them. We love us versus them. In fact, I would say that identity doesn't matter unless you have something else that's not that identity too. And so every time you push something out and say that is not mine, you are like shoring up what you actually are. And that's like, you can feel that happening as you like get rid of all of your stuff. You feel more whole. You feel more yourself. And there's a international sensation who believes this too, and that's your girl, Marie Kondo.
Yeah, so who
Kondo
is Marie
Marie.
Kondo?
Marie Kondo is a Japanese woman who wrote a book called The
Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up.
Yeah, that one. It's a little book. It has like watercolor on the front. And she did not expect to be a smash hit, but she believes, or she instructs you to go through your house, put everything into 4 piles. The piles are like clothes, books, paper, and trash. I don't know. A bunch of piles. And then you have to hold each item in your hand, detect whether it sparks joy in you. And if it doesn't spark joy, you put it into a big trash can, and then you throw all that trash away. And you were supposed to do that one time in your life, and you get rid of everything that you own or whatever doesn't spark joy in you, and then everything will be solved, and you'll be like Marie Kondo.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is a super bestseller. There are entire conferences about her. You know, you've heard of her. You know.
The whole last season of Gilmore Girls is like about Marie Kondo.
Yeah. And it's super interesting how people talk about her too, like, or how she talks about getting rid of stuff. It's like you're getting lighter. All this stuff is weighing you down. Like the more stuff that you have, like the worse and more terrible you are. And when you go to one of her seminars, you wear a sticker that says "Done tidying up" or "Not yet done tidying up." The shame.
And it's like kind of in our society right now, there's like, it's morally good almost to be minimalist. Like I one time was like packing up to go home after like a semester of college, and a friend walked in and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm packing up all my stuff," because I had one box that I had started packing, and I pointed to the one box. I'm like, "I'm packing up all my stuff," and he was like, "Whoa, that's all your stuff? You're like a really good person." And I had never felt worse about myself in my life because I owned more than one box of things. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is this weird exception to my theory about why we get rid of stuff. It's like, okay, you get rid of stuff so that you have room to buy more stuff. But this Marie Kondo character and minimalism is kind of like messing that up a little bit. It's like, oh, I throw immense amount of things away, but then I'm supposed to be so pristine and very quiet in my empty house and not fill it back up again. And this is sort of like this weird exception. It doesn't prove my point.
Yeah, well, but like Picasso famously once said, like, I want to live like a poor person with a lot of money. And it's like these minimalist bros, like their chair costs like $10 billion and they've got like a phone that like does everything, but it costs more than like all of the things in my room, and like that cactus probably costs like $70, which I know because like I bought a $70 cactus.
So I think this is how capitalism is truly fucking us. It's like it gives us all this stuff. It fills our house with nastiness, and then it tells us, no, but if we were really moral and really pure, your house would be empty. Yeah. And only the most beautiful, pristine people can have that. And everyone else is garbage.
And also like the thing about minimalism is you never hear like some guy that was like, I was a minimalist baby and like I was a minimalist my whole life. Now I'm a minimalist adult, blah, blah, blah. It's always like, I had a bunch of shit and then I threw it away. So like the hero's journey is that you throw away all your shit. So it's kind of like super privileged to be able to be like, oh, I don't need this shit anymore. And if I do, I'll just go buy it again, you know?
And guess why we know that this is the for real thing is how we feel about people who don't throw things away, which is Hoarders, a show I cannot watch. I only love partial TLC.
So there's there's hoarders who are people that like have all this shit and they don't throw it away. And like, I'm super anti-capitalism, but like, I am anti-hoarding. Don't hoard. And, like, it will get you real sick. But like, the problem is not that they're not like that they're consuming all of this stuff. It's that they literally just like won't throw it away. But maybe that's not the real problem.
Yeah, but so we think this is gross because they like are hiding dead cats in their stacks of
Yeah,
books.
because capitalism wants you to think that your dead cats are not safe, but they are. I've got like 14 dead cats and I'm fine.
Yes, but there's also a type of person that's not as pathological as hoarder called a custodian, which is somebody who keeps in their house like bunches of treasure. And so they're not dirty, but they collect lots of like trinkets, and they're collectors, and they're filling their house with stuff. And you go in and you're like, wow. And I know that because I have relatives who are custodians. Shout out to the Skrilloffs. And I love their house. It's a beautiful house. But my parents really did not like their house. It was really like upsetting to them to go in because it's so much stuff, and they could just imagine what will happen when you move out of that house and you have to whatever. There is still a nasty reaction, even though their stuff is clean. We still don't like that it didn't move from their house. We don't like that it's like gathering and staying and holding us down.
Yeah, like my dad has 1,000 vinyl things, and he's always like, I love my vinyls. I have 1,000 vinyls, and my stepmom is like, this is horrible. And he literally will text me once a week to be like, when I die, don't throw away my vinyls. That's not really related, but I just feel like that's a lot of vinyls. And they're not like good. It's like 5 of like Bing Crosby.
Oh, we got Bing Crosby
All right,
fans.
Bing
Okay.
Crosby. Okay.
All right, so here we go. And I think if it ever goes, we're at the end of part 2.
Woo! Woo! So we have another comedian for you.
Sure do.
God, he's so funny.
Really is.
You could see him performing at the Annoyance, but now that's
For the last moments that the annoyance lives.
He is at UCB all the time. Gosh, just give it up for Matt Barats.
UCB all the time. Hey, give it up for your hosts, huh? Blythe and Madeline? Yes. Yes, okay. So my name is Matt. I'm a big friend of the show, big friend of the scientists, friend of the venue, okay? Friend of Union Hall. So I just got an announcement to make. I'm actually working right now, okay? So this is actually me working. So I volunteer, and I'm on the street team for Moth, okay? So Moth is like a Story Slam collective. Okay, come on. Yeah, cool. So normally our marketing is, we hand out leaflets, we kind of poster around town, but we're kind of doing away with that. We're doing a little more face-to-face marketing, okay? So they let me pop on here and just kind of plug some stuff. So we do have this is not the only event here, okay, at Union Hall. This is not the only event here. We have an event tomorrow night upstairs on the bocce court. It's at midnight. It's a Moth Story Slam event. We will have 6 storytellers, 8 slammers, okay? It's gonna go about 4 hours, so definitely check that out, okay? So it is the Moth, and it is a Story Slam event, okay? So definitely check that out. It is a Story Slam event. Sorry. I know I'm like kind of like fumbling over my words here and stuff and get a little excited. I just won big I just got lottery tickets for Dear Evan Hansen, so I'm kind of just like over the moon right now. They're actually popping off a late showing, so I'm just gonna scoot over there after this, like waving through the window. Pretty much stuck in my head. Actually not looking forward to the end of the year because I know my Spotify thing is going to come up with like top songs of this year. And I think I know what my top 10 songs are already going to be. Dear Evan Hansen soundtrack. Okay, cool. We guys, Spotify? Hey, okay, just okay. So I am on the straight team with Moth. Okay. How many, by show of hands here, how many people have ever been to a Moth event? Okay, so most of you. Okay, good. So, and then by show of hands here, how many people have actually slammed out at one of those events? Okay, so a couple of you then. Okay, so we have a couple slammers in the house. Awesome. So what is a story slammer, Matt? What is a slammer? Okay, I hear you throwing that around a lot. And that's fine. That's totally fine. That's what I'm here for. Okay, cool. So what is a slammer, Matt? So So it's actually pretty simple. It's just not one of the featured storytellers. It's just someone who slams out a story in 5 minutes or less. That's pretty simple, okay? But why do they call it a slammer, right? What is that? Okay, cool. So it's actually a borrowed term from like poetry slam. Okay, you probably heard of that, like poetry slam. So that poetry slam has its roots in like African American culture. You know, it's kind of like hip hop influence and stuff. So that's a poetry slam. So that's separate. A story slam is cool. So what a story slam is when you get up on stage and you tell a story about one of your relatives getting in a car accident. Cool. So you just knock that out in like 5 minutes or less. So it's cool. But yeah, so I am on the street team and I volunteer with Moth. It is not my full-time job, okay? Not my full-time job, just something I do on the side. I actually make most of my income uploading tickle videos to the internet, which is awesome. I kind of make my own schedule. It's pretty sweet, like 3 times a week on my own terms. I'll strap myself down. And an ultimate frisbee team just kind of has free range over my body, so they kind of go crazy, and then what's really interesting is that then these images and these videos are distributed all over the world. Okay, so then people in say Poland, people in Japan, Argentina, okay, wherever you are, people all over the world, these shameful men can essentially nut to these images, which is kind of cool. So stories are all about connecting and bringing people together, and that's just kind of my way of like, because I don't get up there and tell stories. I'm just on the street team for Moth. Okay, just on the street team for Moth. But that's one of my ways of connecting. So we are always looking for like A-list celebs to come do some of our events. We have had some pretty good names in the past. Actually, the other month we actually had Bill Amend. We had Bill Amend tell a story. So Bill Amend, he actually created the panel comic Foxtrot. So we had Bill Amend on, and he was awesome. He got up there and he told this story about his uncle getting in a car accident, just like destroyed. And then about 6 months ago, we had one of our special story slams, and we had the bailiff for Judge Joe Brown, and she was on, and she told this awesome story. It was about her 2 twin sons who were both driving separate cars and got in a car accident with each other. And it's cool. What she did was she actually told it from the perspective of the cars, which was kind of non-linear and kind of what? So that was sweet. Kind of like flipped the whole like slam on its head. So they were just slamming out. We've had slams about like stepdads getting in car accidents, like sisters getting in car accidents. It's kind of an anything goes kind of thing. So yeah, and like I know this is kind of a themed event. So the theme is garbage, right? But like we do themes on anything. So like, what are some themes you might have heard on like I don't know, like This American Life or Radiolab or any theme? Literally any theme. What was that? Batman. Okay, cool, sweet. So Batman, he suits up, he gets into his Batmobile, drives away, gets in a car accident. Cool? You know what I'm saying? It's so easy. Anyone can just slam out. What's another theme? Belonging? Cool. Okay, cool. So like if you're like at your first semester of college, you're like, I don't belong. I need to like drive home to my parents over fall break. So you just get in your car, you like start driving, get in a car accident. You're slamming out. It's a Moth story slam. It's a big slam. Yeah. Waving through the window. God. Dear Evan Hans. Anyone seen it? Yeah? Yeah? And you loved it? Would you say it captured the angst that you went through in high school? Cool. So yeah, do we have any A-list celebs here? No? I actually can't stop doing this until I get one for the bocce event tomorrow. Okay, that's cool. I kind of figured it would come to this, and I kind of had the bug to perform actually tonight. So, do you guys mind if I do one of my celebrity impressions? Thank you. Okay, cool. So, sweet. Okay. Cool. So I've been working on this for about a week here. It's probably my best celebrity impression. And here I would love if she did a story slam. It'd be amazing. The fucking commission I would pull off this. All right, here we go. Here's my celebrity impression. Didn't think you were gonna perform tonight, but here we go. First, Dear Evan Hansen, now this. Okay. Hi, I'm Academy Award-winning actress Emma Stone. You may know me from such movies as Birdman and La La Land. That's Birdman, and of course, who could forget La La Land? I'm Emma Stone. The movies I was in recently were Birdman and La La Land. Birdman. Birdman. A movie called Birdman, followed up with La La Land. Birdman. 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 La La Land. La La Land. The movie is called La La Land. Birdman. Birdman. And 2 tickets for La La Land. Excuse me, can I get a ticket for Birdman? I'd like to see Birdman and also La La Land. Birdman and La La. Excuse me, sir. My eyes are over here. Thank you. That was my Emma Stone impression. Beautiful Emma Stone. Beautiful Emma Stone. Okay, so that's that's about it for me. Again, the Story Slam's tomorrow. It's up on the bocce court. I think my lift is here for Dear Evan Hansen, so I gotta go pop off and get that. But please welcome back to your stage your host. Thank you.
Yeah, keep it going for Matt Barats. So we just got a little bit more garbage talk to talk about, and it's just why does talking about all this make everyone so defensive? Pretty much whenever I was like, we're doing a show about garbage, people were like, I don't know anything about garbage, which is because it's really hard to find out because people who work in the garbage industry are kind of secretive.
They're hiding it. And and if I were to ask you what you threw out, and I made you lay it out all on the floor for a week, you'd be very upset. But it's actually more than that. It's that if you tell people what the real problem is, we can talk about trash all we want, but the real problem is that we consume too much in terms of an environmental impact. But if you start telling people that they consume too much, they get very upset.
So, the one way that we're told, okay, here's how we're going to deal with this is you reduce, reuse, recycle, right? But
if you talk to environmentalists, this is a anecdotal poll. All they talk about is freaking recycling. And guess what? Recycling's bullshit. I hate recycling. Recycling's okay.
Yeah, I mean, you should definitely do recycle.
Yeah.
But it's not the panacea that we want it to be.
Yeah, it's actually the last in the list of the things you should do. You should first reduce. That's best case scenario to have a good environmental impact, and then reuse, and then recycle. So it's actually our worst option of the 3. But we just talk about it constantly, and it's because it still allows you to buy stuff. You don't actually have to stop buying anything. And so it just, it doesn't really threaten the thing that's the real problem.
Yeah. And then you get to be the kind of person that's I recycle.
No, that's a freaking huge part of it. That's a huge part of it, is that it's very observable that you're doing something good. And just by not buying something, you don't get the social, help. Actually, what you really get is social punishment if you don't recycle and you throw a bottle in the trash. Yeah. People get very mad at you. I don't want to say that recycling is bullshit. You should definitely recycle. But the only really super important thing to recycle is aluminum. Seriously.
Why is that
recycle
true?
aluminum. Because it's so energy intensive to take aluminum out of the ground. That's why people get money for returning aluminum bottles.
I would also recycle paper because it's really like a big waste of like water to make paper, but like, but apparently aluminum is definitely.
We can grow more trees, whatever. No, this is true. I wrote my thesis on it. Oh, and just one more thing. Another way that we get so defensive is there's this lady. I forget her name. Her blog is called Zero Waste Home. And someone sighed, which proves my point. Thank you. So she and her family of two beautiful boys in California only create like one mason jar filled with trash every year, and she writes a blog about it. Also, she's French, so everybody feels very judged by her. But listen, it's very easy to have the reaction of like, well, she's probably cheating, and well, she probably buys a lot of stuff anyway, and well, blah, 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 blah. But interrogate that feeling in yourself. You're getting defensive because you feel like she's going to judge you for having this wasteful life.
Yeah.
But listen, she's just a dog doing her best.
Yeah. Also, wait, but like it is like kind of like privileged to be able to like, to be able to go to Whole Foods and be like, put my meat in my mason jar, or like, like to have all of these, like, I don't have even a cabinet that is this big. I have like this much where I can put all my chia seeds, and like that's all I have. So like it definitely is like, again, like minimalism. It's like a rich people thing to do, but like, I mean, more power to her, I guess.
Oh yeah, I freaking love her. Or I'm inspired by her anyway, because I do think that capitalism is bad. But remember, when you get jealous or angry at somebody, it's probably because capitalism wants you to. Yeah. So in our final statement, when you're feeling social pressure, like when you bring your mason jar to Whole Foods and someone's like, huh? Learn from that. That's probably some cultural pressure on you that you are not noticing. Learn who you're judgmental of, and when you feel judged, because those are also probably cultural forces that you don't have a clear hold on. And fighting capitalism means buying less stuff, and you will always pay a cost for fighting capitalism. So when everybody in your family gets really mad at you for refusing to accept gifts and being a little punk about it, this is why, because the fight's real.
Yeah, it's so real. So that's basically our thesis, but we have, oh yeah, we just found this and we're like, that's gotta go in. But we've got one more comedian for you. She is so brilliant. She's like 2 seconds away from getting famous. She also hosts a show here at Union Hall. It's called It's a Guy Thing. I think the next one is Friday the 31st. Please give it up for Catherine Cohen.
When the city lights shine too bright for your liking, when you feel like you just can't take the heat, when the hustle keeps bustling too quickly, you gotta kick back and take a shit in the street. One woman's trash, another woman's treasure. This is just a little snack of a song. Who's got time to wait in line at Starbucks? Who's got time to buy a tea to pee? You keep running late to every shitty date. Kick back and take a shit in the street. Who's got time to go to bar or yoga? Who's got time to ever miss a beat when you're a part-time DJ and a full-time hot mom? Kick back and take a shit in the street. Oh, who's got time to go to brunch on Sunday even though mimosas are cheap? Why'd you spend all day drinking your feelings away? Kick back and take a shit in the street. Who's got time to catch the sale at Zara? Who's got time to buy pants with all those pleats when they don't have your size? Give yourself a prize. Kick back and take a shit in the street. Kick back and take a shit in the street. You know you want to live. I'm not living the shit in the street. And now, to air my dirty laundry, I wrote this song. Can you hear the song? It's mine. This is bookmarked with a valentine my lover gave me. It says, "Suck my ass dry." Spoiler alert, I did. Ever been to Dairy Queen? I've lost control. I'm sorry I friended your fiancé on Facebook. I meant to look at his profile pictures. I was on my phone. I haven't spoken to you in at least 7 years, but you can't get engaged to a personal trainer and not have me say something. I'm sorry I DJ'd our Uber pool. It's just that I have really good taste in music, even though I was kind of popular in high school. Not like really popular, but like I haven't even seen Lord of the Rings. Oh, I'm sorry I never texted you back about borrowing my adult-sized tutu for your sketch comedy show. I was on the L train, trying to remember how I knew the person sitting across from me. Turns out, it was from sex. I'm sorry I bailed on the yoga booty ballet class we signed up for. I was exhausted and I'm still reeling from the time I slept with someone who didn't know who Greta Gerwig is. I'm sorry I never saw your play. Theater is yelling at people to leave rooms or begging people to stay in rooms. New York is cool because you get to wait in line to walk over a puddle. I'm sorry I said your boyfriend looks like a lesbian. It's hard to remember how to be when I'm online all the time. That picture you posted of you doing aerial silks is exhausting. Oh, I'm sorry I got mad because you were dating a blonde. I'm sorry I Googled her in front of you. It's just whenever I think someone looks cool, I realize they're just thin. Jealousy is great because it's like swallowing a house that you just set on fire. That was amazing. That feeling when you finish the set, but the music keeps playing? But it's nice to sort of get to talk and show you, yes, she is real. No, she has flaws too. On that note, I'm gonna leave and I want to urge everyone to suck my ass dry.
Thank God for Catherine Cohen. Thank God for her. So we are nearly done with our show. We just have one unbelievable achievement that Blythe and I did, which is get a hero of mine to come talk to us. And that's Elizabeth Royte. She wrote this book in 2005, and she has written many books since. This is Garbage Land, where she went and followed New York's trash to its sources and ends. And she's also just wrote a feature in the New York Times Magazine, and now we are going to interview her. So if you'd come up, Elizabeth, and everybody give her a big hand.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for coming. Yes, please sit. So just so you know, I read this book when I was in college and had an anxiety attack and then wrote my thesis on it.
Was it the cause of the attack, though?
A little bit. But frightening. So thank you so much for coming. So we've been talking about people getting upset when you talk to them about garbage. What do people talk to you when you tell them what you study, and what reactions have you gotten?
People love to talk about their garbage. People are very proud of what they are always very eager to tell me about their recycling, and if they compost, they always want to talk about that. And after they read my book, I can't tell you how many people have said to me, I think of you every time I open my trash can, or I can't throw anything away without thinking of you. So that's a great compliment to me. That's so great. People do you feel like they ever get defensive when you talk about so for the audience who maybe hasn't read the book, excuse me. So Elizabeth in the beginning and throughout, Kata, she takes out all of her trash and writes it down. So you learn that it's hard to reduce your consumption, I guess. Do you find that other people are defensive about how much waste they produce?
No, it wasn't hard to reduce my waste, actually.
Oh,
so
fun.
that exercise in quantifying was, so I set myself a goal. I knew that the EPA says that the average American throws out, 4.3 or 4.5 pounds of waste a day, and I just wanted to beat the national average, and it's not hard at all, actually. Living in a small apartment helps, and having a limited income helps, and keeping yourself away from a lot of media is a really great thing. Avoiding, a lot of come-ons and, being strong and resistant. So I tried not to be very scoldy in the book, and I think I kind of live in a bubble of environmentally minded people, and so I didn't get a lot of defensiveness. There was some people who would just say, well, that's all good for you, but I don't have, it's living in this neighborhood. We have a great recycling system if you take advantage of it in New York. It's not hard to recycle. There should be more street infrastructure so that you can do the right thing, but we can get rid of textiles responsibly and electronic waste and food scraps. So it's not hard to do the right thing with diverting from the landfill. There's a lot of other issues going on. So people would say, well, I live in the Midwest, we don't have access to recycling systems, I would have to drive 20 miles to recycle my can, is it really worth it? And the answer would be no. So they would tell me why they couldn't do all the things that I get to do, because we have strong government and political will to do some of these things. Yeah. Some.
So how did you figure out how to reduce your consumption? What was easy?
Well, the easy, it sounds like it's such a cliche. So I live in Park Slope, I'm a member of the food co-op, so things like buying in bulk helps you reduce packaging. Just thinking about what kind of garbage something is going to make before you buy it. I educated myself researching the book and learning about where things come from and what things are actually made of, like where plastic comes from, how metal is made, and aluminum and paper. So you learn about where things come from, and with that in your head, it becomes a sort of filter, and you think about what is going to happen to it when it's sitting in a landfill, or even when it's recycled, or if it's organic material, if it's in a landfill. So just having that filter made it easier for me to evaluate what I was buying and ask myself if I really needed it. And of course, I learned about all kinds of alternative sources for getting stuff not new. So asking if you really need it, asking if you need to have it new, can you borrow it, can you rent it, can you share it? That's a big part of the reduction part. Yeah. One of the things you wrote in the book that really struck me and that I've repeated to other people and they've been like, whoa, is that the trash heaps of the Roman Empire are still leaching material. And I know you also wrote that people who have studied this say like it's not really like 1,000 years that something will break down. It's like tens of thousands of years, maybe even like longer of like material breaking down. Did you find that there's any way to like, is there a safe way to throw material away, or is it just a lost cause?
Okay, let's back up. So the Roman Empire dumps are filled with metals, and the metals are, when the metals combine with air and water, then they leach. It's like whatever leaches out of mines in the U.S. today. Like a lot of Superfund sites are mines. So those are heavy metals that are leaching. It's not plastics, because they didn't have plastics. So this 1,000-year thing, people say you use a bottle for 15 seconds or a bag and then it lasts for 1,000 years, but we don't really know because we haven't had plastics for 1,000 years and don't know how long it will take for them to break down.
Dumb people.
So wait, what was the nugget of your question?
So like, is there
the
like
safe way?
a safe way? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, metals. So did you read William McDonough's work when you were researching garbage, the Cradle to Cradle guy? Has anyone read? Yes. Okay. So that he talks about products being made of either technical nutrients, which cycle endlessly, metals that go back into being metals, and plastics that can be reused again and again as plastics and not ending up in landfills. Or if they're not technical nutrients, chemicals and metals or glass, they are biological nutrients and can cycle back into the earth when we're done with them. And it would be carpeting or clothing made out of organic materials that are safely compostable and can grow new textiles and foods and things.
Yeah, so do you think we can be like ants where they build magnificent colonies to support themselves but create no waste at all? That's a question we have written down here.
I love ants. My first book had a lot about ants in it. So ants do have trash piles, and they bring out their dead. And they carry them out away from their nests and tip them into piles. And then I suppose those funeral piles, there's another word for them, are probably consumed by some other creature. Wow. Or decomposing. So are we going to build our own self-sustaining, zero waste?
Sure.
Let's do it. The zero waste movement, people say zero waste or pretty darn close. They don't think that we're going to get to 100% diversion from landfills and incinerators. That's a term that's used a lot. It's been kind of co-opted by corporations who talk about their zero waste factories, and what they mean is zero waste to landfill. They're actually sending a lot of stuff to incinerators, which to me doesn't count as zero waste.
Right.
Because you said something like 25% of what's sent to an incinerator, like still, like they have to chuck it in a landfill, I think. Maybe 25%'s high, but I remember being like, whoa, like you can't just burn the sofa you brought home. Like there's still, sofa ash.
There's ash. So yeah, what goes in is reduced in volume or mass to, I can't remember if it's 25 or 30%, but, and that does have to be landfilled, and it often contains toxic materials. And then toxics also go up the smokestack because containment isn't perfect.
Yeah.
A lot of this book is like about what happens to trash, your trash in Park Slope, and then like where it goes. And you talk about how there's like a bunch of waste stuff in like around Greenpoint, East Williamsburg. And at one point you're like talking to a woman who's doing compost, and she takes like the leachate or whatever from the compost and like dumps it into a drain. And you're like, yeah, that drain's like 30 feet away from the East River, so it's like probably going into the East River. So like as someone who lives in Williamsburg, like should I be terrified for my health? Like should I be touching the East River, or is that like very dangerous?
I would urge everyone to get out and onto and into the river, because the more people who are out there using the rivers, the more pressure there will be to clean up the rivers and show that we need
Sacrifice yourself.
Yep. No, maybe people say no one is discouraging. Well, there's a lot of boating on the Gowanus Canal, right? And I think that activism helped bring a lot of attention to the canal and helped push the cleanup. Some people weren't in favor of the Superfund designation, but we need to participate and get out there. And no, touching the East River is not going to. What were you saying earlier? It won't kill you. It won't make you sick. It will.
Yeah.
Good
to know.
It's the dose is the poison. So.
Conversely,
don't drink too much of it.
This is like, I feel like I already know the answer to this, but like now that I know I can touch the East River, I read a lot of like witch books because I'm a millennial woman.
We
and
both do.
We all have to. It's the new feminist thing. And they're all like, once you do this spell, take the leftover like wax and ash and like whatever like thing from your altar and like put it in a living body of water. And I was like, I can't do that. That's littering. But then I learned that the East River is so gross. What do you say? I should throw my witch trash in the East River?
Can you reuse it?
Oh yeah, I guess I could. Well, it says you gotta throw it in a living body of water.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So it's wax. It's organic material.
Yeah, it's like candle wax. Yeah.
Candle-
And maybe a cover of the New Yorker because I'm like doing spells to like get into the New Yorker.
It'll degrade. But the East River isn't that dirty. People swim in the East River. You know, people race in the river, and I would only warn all of you potential swimmers that don't swim right after a heavy rainfall because of the combined sewer overflow event, which you all know about, right?
No. Tell us more. I feel like we can guess.
I'll tell you. Yeah. We could come up with definitions. So New York City, like many older cities, especially on the East Coast, has one set of pipes that carry sewage away from our homes and stormwater. The drains on the corners collect rainwater. It goes into the same pipe with the sewer stuff, and it goes to a wastewater treatment plant, which is great. But when it rains, the system is undersized, and the treatment plant is overwhelmed. It has too much water to treat, and so it shuts down, and a regulator opens. It's an opening at the end of a pipe along the water's edge, and it pours untreated sewage and stormwater into the rivers and estuaries and bays all around the city. And so if you swim after a rain of over a quarter inch, you'll be swimming in diluted sewage, more so than usual. So the city has these alerts, and if you you can get an alert on your phone that'll buzz when there's a CSO, combined sewer overflow, and then you'll know not to swim. But also things like during a heavy rain, you can avoid running your dishwasher or washing laundry or taking a long shower because you're adding water to the system. And if more people knew about it, I mean, it's sort of a pipe dream, but if we could curtail our use of water. What?
That's literally a pipe dream.
Oh. It's so funny. Okay. Yeah, if we cut down our water use during big rain events, we could have less sewage into our waterways.
More reasons for me to not shower. Thank you.
Looking for it. Yep.
I always need more. So you also spent a lot of time getting in kayaks and trespassing.
Love it. Yeah. It's important as a journalist. To
Yeah. So
trespass.
what was the best place that you went illegally in your work?
I think sneaking into the landfill in Pennsylvania where the waste from this neighborhood and much of Brooklyn goes. Well, actually, that was sort of scary, and I was really angry doing that, and it colored my entire writing of the book. It was such a bitter experience. But the most fun I had was kayaking with the salt marsh restorationists around fresh kills. They weren't letting me into the landfill. And so I thought I would attack it by water instead of land. And so I went out with this guy on a winter's day, and we had to lift up a gate and a boom on the water and sneak in. And I got to see what I wanted to see of the landfill. And then someone a sanitation officer started screaming at us and wanted us to paddle to shore to present ourselves for punishment, which we didn't really want to do, and so we paddled the other way and went back. He was yelling at us, and he was so, impotent little man on the shore. But the ending of that story is that we had misread the tide table, and so we had put in the William T. Davis Wildlife Refuge, which is north of Fresh Kills. I'm trying to imagine the map now. Yeah, and there are tidal creeks there, and because we timed it wrong, we ran out of water, and we were stuck in the mudflats, far from the uplands, and we had to wait. And it started snowing, and we were freezing, and Carl, the guy I was with, I don't know if this is in the book, but he had this plan after a while that. We were just like rocking on the keel of the boat, and to get out, he said we were going to have to throw ourselves out horizontally because the mud is so squishy that, yeah, it's like, have you been out there? It is still just like, he said he'd seen people go in up to their necks, and it was the gas. So he was I was like, okay, so how do we get out? And he'd say, you have to get horizontal really quickly, and then we're going to roll. And then there was a happier ending because he remembered he had his phone on him because his wife was pregnant and was actually due to go into labor that day. So he was like, that's why I have my phone. Instead, we're stuck in the marsh and the light is going down and it's snowing. And he made a call, and some friends of his at the Native Plant Propagation Center came out and threw these wood pallets down and made a long dock for us to get out onto. So that was probably the most fun I had, sneaking around the landfill.
I guess going off of that, Madeline is like we both think that you're so cool, but I am called to do comedy in this life. But Madeline wants to ask, how do you become you? Like, you do such cool things. Like, what did you do to become a journalist? Write these cool books.
Thank you for asking that question for me.
I was an English major. I wasn't a science student. I wish I were, but I guess maybe I wouldn't be what I am now if I had like gone on and gotten a graduate degree in evolutionary biology, which I really love. And I liked writing, creative writing. Worked for magazines that folded, started freelancing. Had a very lucky break when an editor asked me to profile a scientist, Edward O. Wilson, the Harvard sociobiologist and the world's foremost ant scientist. And I went to Panama with him, wrote a profile, and it was on the cover of the New York Times Magazine, and it changed my career because I started getting a lot of phone calls asking me to do science stories, and I loved it. It spoke to me, and I get to write about something that's really important to me, climate change issues, food, waste, consumption.
Cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's so dope.
I think we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
coming. Thank you.
And that's our show.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah. So upstairs is a bar. Downstairs bar closes. So go upstairs. We're gonna hang out if you want to talk to us, or just drink
Or
with
offer
yourself.
me a front cover magazine story and change my life forever. So bless you, and good night.
Good night.
Houston, 20 seconds to LOS TDRIS.
Roger, nice to be in orbit.
The Scientists was hosted by Madeline Freed and Blythe Robertson at Union Hall in Brooklyn. Our guests were Halcyon Person, Matt Barats, Catherine Cohen, and Elizabeth Royte. Sound by Dave Polk.